Hello and welcome back to the booth here at Card Kingdom's Legacy Preservation Series, Legacy 1K Tournament.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Monks, joined in the host with my, can I call you a partner in crime?
Yeah, man.
Partner in crime, Jordan. Boom! Isaka. Now, we just got round 6 set up. We're going to head down there right now. So we have two decks that we haven't seen on camera yet.
Yeah. Two decks that were dominating the format maybe about half a year ago.
We got Grixis Delver on the left being piloted by Brendan McBain versus Charles Wong on the right playing the little green men.
Yeah.
We got
the other little green men.
Yeah, the second green men.
The second
greener
green men.
men.
The greenest men, I suppose. They're double green. Instead of red-green like goblins, which are technically green. They're colored green. We have the elves being piloted by Charles Wong, and Charles Wong actually has overcome a few bad matchups as of recent. He went ahead and played against Miracles, and he was able to win through that matchup. So.
Absolutely. And that's a tough one.
Yeah.
This is really good against you.
Yeah, I mean, when they have a one on top of their deck all the time with a counterbalance in play, it's going to be a little difficult.
Absolutely. So
Stop
we're going to roll right now.
All right, a 2. That was riveting. All right.
I think they out-evened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and Grixis Delver, we saw it really, its heyday was more back when Dig Through Time was in the format.
Absolutely.
Right? They would play Grimag Angler, Young Pyromancer. There's a lot of really good cards to play. That being said, Brandon McBain has a little bit different angle on the deck, a little different interpretation.
He's playing Deathrite Shamans, which is pretty normal.
He's playing Stifle.
Yes, he's playing the Stifle.
That is the one, right? And so before you see like Grixis Delver decks play Cabal Therapy, and they would also play Daze, they would play kind of a low to the ground deck, but they could sort of refill with a Dig Through Time. But you see Brandon McBain going all out with Stifle, Wasteland, and Daze. Mm-hmm. Sort of that trifecta that was pioneered by Rug Delver.
Absolutely.
Right.
And he's playing 3 Cataxian Probe in this list because he's playing Young Pyromancer.
Wow.
The fourth slot is a one of Forkbolt. And Forkbolt's great in this matchup.
Yeah, Forkbolt is going to be a very powerful card. It's going to be very important that Brandon McBain establishes a board where he can start clocking Charles.
Absolutely.
And then for Charles, it's going to be all about preventing damage, and then also how many 1/2s and 2/2s you can get into play, because stopping those Young Pyromancer tokens is pretty important.
Absolutely. You want to get underneath the Delver's like tempo strategy.
Oh.
And Charles is going to start out with a fetch, and Brendan McBain says, "Whoa, you can't cast the spell quite yet. I get a chance to respond here."
Right. And Charles Wong, I mean, I gotta believe he wasn't necessarily expecting the
especially not off a polluted Delver.
Right.
Rug Delver plays Scalding Thorns and Misties.
But that's where you can kind of get into trouble, right?
Absolutely.
How many times have you seen Wooded Foothills into Fetch, into Trop, into Stifle? And now, you know what's kind of interesting, though, is now Charles is going to have to correctly identify what deck Brandon McBain's playing. Because if he's playing, Rug Delver and Grixis Delver are certainly several little bit different decks.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so Brendan's going to deploy his Young Pyromancer here versus Charles Wong's no permanence.
Right.
Charles does have another fetch land, so he's going to be able to crack that now without fear of it getting stifled.
But he lost a full turn. He basically got time walked.
A turn's a lot in this matchup, especially at this point in the game.
It really is.
He's going to deploy his little green man, his 1/1 mana dork.
Most certainly. And it looks like he went it off of Forest too. So that Wasteland, the Wasteland's going to not really have a good target here. That being said, we have a little bit of action. Ooh, that's a Stifle as well.
So
Brainstorm.
Brendan's going to fire off a Brainstorm here. Tree's Young Pyromancer. Pull out his Pokemon.
Dude, that's a
what
pretty
Pokemon
nice.
What Pokemon is that? I can't tell.
I think that's it's an electric type.
It looks like
That's about all I can tell, though.
Yeah?
Most of the time I would assume it's like a Mareep. Or maybe, I don't know, what's another electric type that's kind of cute and little? Probably Mareep.
Okay. I was thinking maybe it was like Puzzle or Minun.
Oh, it could be. Oh, you know what? It could be. It's kind of dark.
It's got a little bit of glare.
Yeah.
Definitely yellow, though.
Right. Yeah.
It's the yellow type.
We see the Brainstorm is going to go ahead and put back 2 Wastelands, and I got to believe that Wasteland's really going to only be good after your opponent activates their Guy's Cradle.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't have put back both Wastelands. I would have put back one because you want to...
yeah, he's thinking about it.
You haven't played a land yet this turn, so you may as well play the Wasteland this turn.
Right.
It's just as good in your hand as it is on the board.
Right. He has a Grimag Angler. He has a Lightning Bolt.
He can fire off a Ponder here and hopefully hit a Volcanic.
So he kept one of the Wastelands, and I think he's going to go ahead and fire off that Ponder, just like you said.
I like firing off Ponder. I don't think you need to play the Wasteland yet, but you may as well hold it in your hand.
Yeah, that being said, he doesn't...
Oh, he's not even going to play it. He's just going to pass the turn. He's not even going to attack with Young Pyromancer. I would have attacked with Young Pyromancer. Long does not want to make that trade right now.
One of the things that's really important for Elves is they really need an established board to battle.
Absolutely. He needs the tempo.
Brandon let the fetch go too. I guess he's gonna try to stifle the Crater Hoof trigger.
Okay.
The only issue is that if Crater Hoof Behemoth comes down, hey man, Crater is 5/5 too.
Yeah, really hard to deal with that.
That's still pretty big if you're playing 1 mana or 2 mana 1/2/2/1s and like getting a bunch of 1/1s off of that.
So Seawong's going to fire off a Glimpse of Nature here.
Yeah, I like Charles Wong's line. He's going for the value glimpse right here.
Absolutely, and that's going to get forced.
Gets answered by Force of Will, but Charles Wong's relatively pleased about that.
Yeah, can't complain.
Brandon McBain is not really putting a lot of pressure on Charles right now, and here comes the mana.
Yeah. Mana Dork number 1, and I think you play a Heritage Druid here.
Heritage Druid, yeah.
Heritage Druid
and
pass.
now he's gonna have like 5 green next turn. That's
absolutely
a lot.
Yeah. Brendan does have a Lightning Bolt, so he's going to be able to Lightning Bolt the Green Ranger in response to this.
There's the untap.
Heritage Druid in response to that ability. He chose
not to, and he probably should have. Yeah. This is one of the things where if you're not super experienced playing against a deck like Elves, sometimes you just
Charles Wong actually missed a draw there. He drew a card off the Elvish Visionary.
Yeah, just off the Visionary.
That's right.
Perfectly fine, and now he has what was widely considered as the best friend team.
Yes.
Where he's got draw a card and also bounce an elf back to your hand too. So in the Visionary and the Wirewood Symbiote.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so...
And so, Brendan has a Lightning Bolt here, and Symbiote is definitely the prime target.
But we'll see if he realizes that Symbiote's going to be the one to target here. He might.
Looks like he correctly identifies.
So most certainly.
Charles Wong does not activate the Symbiote to bounce the Elvish Visionary back to his hand, which I don't know if you necessarily want to do at all times, but I feel like Charles Wong has enough mana that Visionary's extra card advantage is relevant there.
He also has a natural order in his hand, and I think the reason why he kept the Visionary in play.
He just wants to have as many threats as possible.
Or he wants to have as many guys in play as possible. And also, if he has a Gaia's Cradle, he can just slam Gaia's Cradle, tap for 4, and then go ahead and natural order.
Okay.
And the natural order is going to add up to about 20 damage.
Yeah, right about here.
Yeah.
So it looks like Brendan's going to play Garmatic Angler. Exile 5 cards, tap that Wasteland for 1.
That's right.
Push 5/5. Kill me soon.
Yeah, I gotta have
Clock's
to have
ticking.
it. Oh, that's a
third.
He's got trips.
You just cast it though, don't you?
I think the line here is pretty interesting because he can actually use he can tap double green with the forest, tap his Land War Elves, and he can activate his Quirion Ranger.
Oh, bounce land back. So he doesn't even
play
need
the
to
land
tap
again,
any of his guys.
Exactly, right.
Okay,
So
I like that a lot.
He can have natural order right here.
He's got enough mana without having to tap any of his creatures.
Any of his
coming in.
Yeah, any of his other creatures besides the one that he's sacrificing, right?
Yeah.
So it's certainly a pretty clean line. That being said, he has trips, natural orders, and he's not dead on board by the Grixis Delver deck.
Yeah, I think your option here is to either get Crater Hoof.
Right. Looks like this is the line he's going to take.
It's either get Crater Hoof or get a Symbiote again.
Play a land. Sure. Yeah, sure.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sack this bad boy.
Right.
Does this resolve, my friend?
Yeah. Gonna let it resolve.
Here comes the Hoofer.
He's gonna go ahead and trigger. And the issue, though, the issue is that I believe Brendan has a Stifle in hand. And if he doesn't, he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
He does. He has exactly 1 Stifle left in hand. Trigger. He's going to be able to stifle that.
Right. And the nice thing about this is that Charles Wong doesn't have to commit to an attack here.
Yeah,
right?
he can leave it back to the board.
Right, because the trigger will happen during his first combat step. Or sorry, his first main phase step.
Yeah.
So he can actually just leave his team back, use his Crater Hoof to block, and then he can go ahead and pass, and then, I don't know.
Not die to attacks here, and next turn play another...
another natural order.
Yeah, another natural order. And you know what? If Brendan doesn't have another Stifle here, he's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, or a Force Will, or any counter magic.
He's only got 1 card in hand. He was Hellbent at the end of that turn.
Yeah.
Stifle was the last one.
Yes, he's literally going to have to find exactly Stifle or a cantrip into Stifle. So, that being said, Crater Hoof is actually doing a really good job of guarding the way.
Yeah, I think you just take this.
Yeah, you just take 5.
Sure, tastes good.
Not too worried about it. Untap.
Straight upstairs.
Yeah. And the other question you have to ask is how much damage can he build? And then all of his cards, all of his creatures. Oh my god!
Oh no!
That was so brutal.
That's got to be the worst possible draw in his deck.
He would much rather have not drawn any card ever than drawn his Crater Hoof.
That's the last one.
That was so unlucky.
Wow, that totally turned.
That was like a 1 out of 44.
Yeah, he's got about 45 cards left in his deck.
A 2%er to draw that. That was unbelievable.
That hurts too.
That was really bad.
You draw all the natural orders, which aren't business spells. They're the payoff card, and then you draw the tutor of natural, the target for natural.
The target for it, and then you only run 2. It's not like they're going to run a lot of.
Yeah, he's only got 2, right? I'm just going to double check his list.
Yeah, no, that's very clear.
2 Crater Hoof, absolutely. And Charles Wong has to
figure out how to
piece this game up.
Yeah, Charles Wong knows that he's going to have to figure out a way to do it because right now it's not looking good.
Yeah.
That was just a savage beating.
You can look at him. His head is just in his hands. He's trying to figure this out. I guess
Yeah, he's in the tank, right? Yeah, he's in the tank. That being said, he does have a natural order, so he can't find any green creature in his deck.
Yeah, normally the refill mechanic is you sometimes natural order for Wirewood Symbiote or Elvish Visionary, whichever one of the best friends combo you don't have. And you're like, this is kind of clunky, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, seriously, right?
The problem is all three of those elves are really important to have in play, which means he'll have to sack his Crater Hoof Behemoth if he wants to play this natural.
Yeah, and he's at 9, and there's a lot of attackers on board.
Yeah.
You know what card he could get? He could get a card called Wenzren Packmaster.
Yeah, that makes a wolf.
Wenzren Packmaster would actually be quite good, assuming that he would have access to a lot of mana. A card like Gaia's Cradle, and his opponent obviously didn't have the Wasteland.
Yeah.
But Wenzren Packmaster would allow him to almost match the amount of tokens that Brian McBain has in play. That being said, it's looking pretty grim.
Yeah, absolutely. So
He's going to swing with Crater Hoof.
I think he's going to attack and just Green Sun the Crater Hoof. I'm going to miss one of your tokens. Got it. 3 mana. 4 mana. Natural order.
You know what happens when... I mean, Charles Wong very clearly knows how to play this deck. If I'm Brandon McBain and I see my opponent cast Natural Order, I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
At the same
Brandon's
time,
like, yeah, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, get another Crater Hoof and then pass the turn?
Yeah.
So he's hovering over Symbiote.
Yeah. I think that's what he has to get. He really needs a lot of mana, though.
Absolutely.
He needs to be able to play the Crater Hoof from hand.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to be able to get to that point. Look, it's a Scavenging Ooze. He wants to gain a little bit of life. Okay.
That's certainly not bad in this situation. It would allow him to stay alive long enough, so maybe the Crater Hoof that he has in hand is going to be relevant.
Okay, he wants to get to a point where he can cast it. And Brennan has 2 lands in hand, so I guess...
Bane tops next to the Wasteland. I think the idea here is Charles Wong wants to get to the point where he's gained enough life with his Scavenging Ooze that he can also just straight up block.
And trade with the Grimag
Angler? Or kill, hopefully. The idea is
not
kill.
chump block, yeah. Right. You got to take another 5 from here. That Grimag Angler's still 10 damage.
Yeah, ideally, the Elvis deck can block and bounce and just completely waive the attack from the Delver deck.
Yeah, it's really cool that Elves has tools to basically just ignore one combat.
Right.
And if that creature has a GT on it, you get to ignore a GT.
Yeah, exactly. He does no combat damage. You're not worried at all about it. Right? And the cool thing about it is there's a whole bunch of different ways that Elves can go ahead and waive combat damage. The Korean Ranger can go ahead and do that as well with a the Dryad Arbor in play, right?
However, there is a Wasteland on Brendan's side of the board, as well as another Wasteland in hand.
That is correct.
So Dryad Arbor is probably not going to be able to survive.
It certainly would not get the job done in this case, but it looks like Charles Wong, he's access to a lot of green. He's going to go ahead and pump up that Scavenging Ooze to be relatively large and then just kind of play a stall game.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that Brendan did not attack with his whole team last turn.
Yeah, his tokens aren't worth anything.
He would have lost the Young Pyromancer and put Charles Wong to exactly 1.
Yeah. And Charles Wong cannot, he doesn't really want to trade away any of his creatures in play because he really needs them to make a powerful Gaia's Cradle.
I also thought it was a little strange that Brendan blocked the Crater Hoof. I thought that felt a little strange to me.
He just took... No, he blocked with the token.
Yeah, I wouldn't have blocked it. I would have just taken it with my face.
Oh, okay.
Taken
it with my face?
Yeah, I would have blocked with my face. I don't think that the life total was relevant, and if Brendan had just taken it, next turn he would have been able to crack for Xaxes last turn.
Now, one of the things that I like Brendan doing right now is he's sandbagging all of the lands that he has in hand. Mm-hmm. If he top decks a Brainstorm, he can certainly cash in that Brainstorm for a whole lot of action.
Absolutely.
Right. All right. Charles Wong is being very careful. He's going one at a time.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Certainly.
Especially when your guy is a 3/3.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it gets to be a 4/4.
That's right.
Lightning Bolt is the big one.
Lightning Bolt is the card you want to try to dance around.
2/2's the drop.
Yeah, 2/2's good, man. And you know what? He might be able to cash in that natural order for an actual card, like for a Wirewood Symbiote.
Yeah, you just
and
go
get
get
the
Wirewood Symbiote.
get the team online.
You now have the mana enabling from the Nettle Sentinel.
And the crazy thing is, it puts a creature with a bid.
Yeah,
like
another thing you can eat.
It matters for
because there's no creatures left.
Yeah, exactly.
Charles has now eaten all of the creatures, and you know what? If it turns into a 6/6, it'll just kill the Gomorrah.
Yeah,
it won't even die.
Eat him alive.
It'll just kill it.
Wow. So certainly a lot of interesting interactions going on right here. The Elves deck wouldn't really have to deal with if Charles didn't draw. Yeah.
He had this game locked, even though he drew 3 natural orders.
Yeah.
It was the 3 natural orders plus the second Crater Hoof that did it.
Plus the extra dud.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he drew that, That was just a little difficult. All
So we're
right.
going to Charles Wong starting to draw Gaia's Cradle. So he's got about a
Cradle.
million mana here. Dark Cast, baby. Here it is. And Brenda's going to pick him up.
Yeah.
Damn. Crater Hoof. How much is that? A lot.
I think his creatures might have been like 7/7s with Trample.
Yeah, I think he had 5 elves in play, and then the Crater Hoof, and then
the Ooze?
The Ooze, yeah.
Yeah. So all his guys would have gotten +7/+7. That was just, I mean, Crater Hoof Behemoth, if you don't really know, like, it literally just one-shots your opponent and makes it real nice and easy.
That's normally what the deck does. You play Green Sun Zenith for Crater Hoof and just hoof your opponent.
That being said, it's kind of like, you remember we had that conversation about being able to Infernal Tutor for ad nauseam,
Yeah.
right? With Randy Bueller, it's sort of the same situation where when Charles Wong drew into Crater Hoof, he could no longer find the Crater Hoof because it was in the wrong state. It was in the wrong zone, right? It was in his hand rather than on his deck.
Yeah, like these absolutely degenerate tutor effects, which let me tell you, these are definitely unfair effects.
That's right.
Wizards of the Coast feels like they're restrictive enough, and I agree. I think that the decks definitely are reasonable.
Right.
The fact that it doesn't say Green Sun Zenith said search your library or hand, then it changes things.
Oh yeah, that would be a little
hand
too
or
powerful.
Graveyard?
Yeah, that would be a little too good, right?
That'd be gross. Just think, you have a Crater Hoof, you sack the Crater Hoof, you go search the Crater Hoof from your graveyard and you end the play.
Yeah.
That'd be gross.
That would be pretty
You
insane.
never have to run more than one Crater Hoof.
Right.
That's the whole reason this deck plays more than one.
Certainly, you draw it, or there's an issue where like you get stifled or something like that, or like you try to hard cast and it gets countered.
Absolutely.
Moving to the sideboard here, we actually see
these boards.
a lot of different cards coming out from Brandon McBain. It looks like he has access to some Fluster Storms. He has access to, he has Price of Progress in the sideboard. He has a Painful Truths. That's kind of a peculiar card.
I like that card.
Cabal Therapy. I think Cabal Therapy could be a real winner here, right? Especially when he's sacrificing a lot of his tokens.
Young Cardmancer tokens.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of synergies with Young Cardmancer.
He's got a Dark Blast.
I love that.
Yeah,
card.
really powerful in this matchup for sure. It's recurring removal, and I've got to believe the Cabal Therapy is coming in as well. So maybe 4 cards. It looks like for Charles Wong, we're going to go ahead and see maybe. He has Elder Skill Worm. He has a Progenitus.
Natural Order for Progenitus is very good.
Those are some spicy ones. Progenitus, if you guys don't know, it has protection from anything.
It's got protection from your car.
Yeah, it's got protection from your opponent. And all the things that he tries to do, right? So certainly some cards that Charles can bring in. That being, and he might actually consider bringing those in because his opponent is running Stifle.
Yes.
Stifle certainly decreases the value of Crater Hoof and increases the value of just a statically strong creature.
Progenitus ends the game very quickly.
Right, yeah, it's 2 swings. Good night. Yeah. Right. All right.
So Charles has a Wong of Bayou, and he's got the Gaia's Cradle as well. And it's actually really cool when you have both of those lands in play because you can play that Bayou, and your opponent will waste you for tempo, and then you're like, well, good thing I still got this Gaia's Cradle, isn't it?
Certainly is, right? So you see a lot of mana in hand for Charles Wong. You see he has a Green Sun Zenith, and he's got a Heritage Druid. That being said, Brandon McBain has the classic Delver start. I mean, Delver's Secret's really good in this matchup. He's going to be able to fly over all the blockers.
Korean Rangers will play. I'm surprised he didn't fetch there. I would have fetched for a basic and played Korean Ranger.
Yeah, that way he can play around Stifle.
Yes.
I gotta believe that the Grixis Delver deck is going to leave in Stifle on the play, and it's possible it'll board those out or board out some amount of Brainstorm.
Might shave some numbers.
Yeah, board out some amount of Dazes on the draw.
So it looks like we got an upkeep trigger. I'm going to Brainstorm. Just trying to rearrange my deck. Make sure there's an instant or sorcery on top of my library.
He's got a Forkbolt in hand.
That's a dirty one. That's when you don't want to reveal.
Yeah.
The trick is when you reveal things to Delver, when you Brainstorm to set it up, you want to reveal as little information as possible.
That's right.
So cards like Gitaxian Probe, cards like Ponder.
Brainstorm. Yeah, there we go. And we see a Ponder revealed here. Really solid draw. I don't know if Brandon McBain has a land. I'm sure he does.
I don't actually know if he does.
Oh, he's got a fetch.
He's got a fetch.
Yeah.
Even better.
That cons fetch just sneaking in there. Yeah.
I was expecting Old Border.
If only. Wizard hat. Barn. All right,
Shaman is the draw.
Right, and Deathrite Shaman is certainly a card that Charles Wong is going to want to see here.
Especially against Forkbolt.
Yeah, being able to win. Especially, the 2 toughness is really important, but also the idea that he can go ahead and tap it to gain life, and it at some point turns Delver into a 1-power creature. He's able to go ahead and exile a creature from that dies that gets 4th bolted, and then he can go ahead and use his Deathrite Shaman to keep him in the game as Delver's attacking him.
Absolutely. One of the big things that Deathrite Shaman does in this deck, compared to other decks that have Deathrite Shaman, like this Grixis Delver deck, is you have the tribal synergies. You have Wirewood Symbiote and you have Korean Ranger. They can untap these creatures.
Yeah, they can. They can do a whole lot. They can make a whole lot of mana. I think Charles is going to like to go for the upkeep fetch. We'll see whether or not Brandon McBain has Stifle in his hand, and he certainly does not. That being said, it was actually really nice that Charles went for the upkeep fetch because Brandon McBain has Daze in hand, which would have certainly dealt a lot of damage to this current board.
Absolutely.
Wow, really nice. Charles goes for the Dryad Arbor right here, and you know what? If you've ever played against elves, or if you've played against people that play elves a lot, like I have with Dan Wynn,
yeah.
the Elvish Master. Whenever they fetch out Dryad Arbor, they're going for it next turn.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be
it's coming.
It's gonna be big.
Yeah. Charles Wong has that Gaia's Cradle in hand. He doesn't want to play it yet to expose it. He wants to tap it on the critical turn, which is, the critical turn where you play natural order.
That's right.
Dryad Arbor does double duty here. It taps for an extra mana,
and it's
a sacrifice outlet. Well,
and
it's a target.
And it's a creature for Gaia's Cradle, and he can even do some really dirty stuff where he bounces a forest to untap a creature, untap Dryad Arbor. Not too bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, very, very nice plays. Charles Wong showing that he really knows how to maneuver the deck and pilot the deck.
Playing this deck very well.
Yeah, he's playing solid. Right? Okay. Looks like we got Brandon McBain. He's going to try to go ahead and keep on disrupting Charles Wong. And Brandon's got the right start.
Yeah. Brendan, he hasn't been playing these Dazes. I feel like Daze is one of those cards that you just play. When your opponent taps out, you just counter it.
Yeah. The first thing that you play, you want to go ahead and snap it off. And that way,
Charles Wong's board didn't have the Korean Ranger or the Symbiote in it. It's like a very different game plan.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Daze is good. Daze is literally. It sounds kind of simple, but Daze is good when it works. And versus the Elves deck just makes so much mana.
If you let them get to the point, Daze just falls off in usefulness. And it's not like Brendan has a lot of lands. It's not like he's getting punished for not missing land drops.
Right.
Or for, repeating his land drops.
It's not like he's trying to tap 4 for Jace the Mind Sculptor or something like that.
He's trying to cast more Dazes and Ponders.
Right, exactly.
Gitaxian Probe, using on mana, things like that.
So his turn 1 Daze might have actually been kind of a reasonable play. That being said,
so he could have, if he had Dazed the Korean Ranger, you know what he gets to do right here on this board state? If this was the board state minus Korean Ranger?
Oh yeah, he gets to play 4.
Fork Bolt and kill a Symbiote and a Dryad Arbor.
That is just an absolute ribbon here.
And now Fork Bolt can only kill the Wirewood Symbiote. It can't kill the other creatures due to the Korean Ranger and the Wirewood Symbiote.
Yeah.
Korean Ranger protects the Dryad Arbor, Wirewood Symbiote protects the Elf.
Yeah, that is 100% correct.
So Fork Bolt's going to happen. It's going to deal 1 damage divided between Wirewood Symbiote and an invalid target.
Yeah.
What the heck's going on?
So I think Brandon McBain is considering a bunch of different stifle options here. He's trying to land some spells.
Okay,
that being said,
balancing
is part of the cost. So you really can't stifle the cost.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of weird because the thing that you would need to pay for another effect to happen is actually the beneficial effect.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, you also get the untap effect. You can stifle that part of it.
Yeah. It's kind of good.
Yeah, it's non-zero, but it's not what you're trying to do in this situation.
It would certainly be better in the older builds of this deck when they were playing like Priest of Titania and they were untapping a creature that made like 30 mana.
Yeah.
Right.
Priest of Titania, or what was the other one?
Fellows, maybe?
No, there was the creature Timber Watch Protector, gives +X/+X to an elf for X number of elves you control.
That's a beatdown elf card, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
oh, is it?
Yeah, probably.
I thought that was Legions. I think it's Legion.
The deck is called Beatdown Elves.
Okay.
Versus I think this is more like the combo elves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting really specific with my elf.
Your elf
classification for sure. But
and then there's one other elf. Well-Wisher was another one which I tapped a lot.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well-Wisher, man. That's a solid one. All right, and because Brandon McBain actually did a really good job in constricting the mana from the Elves board.
Absolutely.
He went ahead and cast that Fork Bolt, forced Charles Wong to go ahead and bounce one of his lands. That's a Time Walk effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And got Wirewood Symbiote.
And also he got Wirewood Symbiote off the table. Now his Daze is going to look pretty dang good here.
However, you know what? Charles Wong is really good at kind of baiting Brandon into playing these Dazes in situations where he can't actually Daze it.
Right.
He can activate the Korean Ranger right now. Oh, I guess that doesn't.
Well, it would bounce a forest to his hand.
Right. Bounces a forest, untaps a creature.
Right.
I was thinking out of Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he really did, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's so hard to keep all of the lists of these cards exactly how they interact in the stack.
Absolutely.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and it looks like right now Charles Wong has that elf deployed. He's gonna be able to use it to gain some life and buy some time versus Delver's Secrets. Brandon McBain's clock is about as fast as Delver can be, but
Turn 1 Delver, have a clip on turn 2, upkeep Brainstorm.
Right.
Definitely set that up.
Certainly really nice to have. He's going to have the lightning bolt here. Okay. So
I like that.
certainly cuts his clock away a little bit. Got the lightning bolt wasteland. Not too bad.
Gonna go ahead and pick that up with Career and Ranger.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not trying to get my lands wasted.
Essentially does what he wants to do with wasteland anyways.
Yeah.
He has to read it.
And he's like, oh god, I forgot it does that.
Yeah.
There's a couple times where like Brendan's playing these cards expecting it to work, but instead it's not working. But the tempo is still happening.
It's kind of showing that he has not so much experience playing against elves in general.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it is still sort of working, and
yeah, the tempo is still happening. The tempo loss is still there. And
That
Charles
being said-
Wong, I feel like next turn he can start doing some real stuff.
right, attack for 1. Right.
Brendan has a Young Pyromancer. He's got a Daze, and what's the last card in his hand?
You know what? I think Charles Wong is going to go ahead and wait to commit. I think he has a Heritage Druid in hand, so he's going to wait to commit that to play.
I think he wants to land one more creature and then play
Right.
the Gaia's Cradle
Yeah,
and generate
Cradle.
extra mana off
Yeah,
the Cradle.
exactly right.
Yes.
He can go ahead and tap, play Heritage Druid, and then tap for 3, and then also have his Guy's Cradle in play, and he'll make about 6 mana.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of a lot. Not a little bit. That's for
Yeah, and
sure.
Brendan has a Daze. He's got a Cycle. He just found one off the top.
Oh man, that's certainly not bad here. It makes it so he doesn't lose the Crater in one go.
Absolutely.
Right.
He can be a little bit more comfortable about racing. And Charles almost dead.
Yeah, for sure.
He's at 6. That's 2 swings from a Delver, a swing from a Delver, and a Lightning Bolt that he finds
Yeah.
off this Ponder, 1 of the 2.
Yeah, and I gotta believe he's gonna be pretty excited to find Lightning Bolt if he can, right? Like ending the game a hurl turn earlier. Elvis is a really explosive deck, can certainly power out a card like that.
The last bolt had to go with that Deathrite Shaman. If you don't kill the
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman, it can get out of control very, very
Yeah.
quickly.
You know what's kind of crazy? Charles Wong has his Abrupt Decay in hand. He just hasn't been able to cast it. 'cause
he hasn't
a
had
lot
2
of
mana. Yeah.
He hasn't had a lot of mana, so
He's getting taxed every single turn that he would have been able to play it.
getting squeezed a little bit.
And
Randy
like this-
McBain is count.
This Delver, if it got Abrupt Decay on turn 2, he would have been able to play Young Pyromancer, and then it would be basically the same board state, only with a Young Pyromancer and a bunch of tokens rather than a Delver.
That's true, right? And then
I don't know which one's better. I feel like this one's slightly better for Seawong, but not by much.
Right. Yeah, I mean the idea there is that you have access to a lot more power coming in, right? It's exponentially stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It looks like a little difficult here. It looks like Brandon McBain's considering. Oh, he's running out Young Pyromancer here. It's sort of.
I don't know if I actually like playing Young Pyromancer.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually really change the clock here, as you can only swing for 5 next turn.
Right.
You can't make any tokens at instant speed. I guess you can Daze,
Well, you
and
can
then
Daze and have a
all,
token.
if all of Charles Wong's creatures are tapped, that's lethal.
Right.
And I feel
Oh,
like
he's shaking his head.
he sees the guy's cradle. He had to know it was coming.
Yeah, he has to know. And he has to know that it's going to get sandbagged, especially from. Yeah, you know what? I also like the fact that he's going to leave up Abrupt Decay mana, or I guess he's going to check out what's in the bin.
Yeah.
Yeah, really like Abrupt Decay here. He can certainly do some block bounce shenanigans, and then he can go ahead and remove that Delver for play with the Abrupt Decay.
Absolutely. He
So-
can also tap this for 2 mana, play a Heritage Druid,
Right.
and then either use the mana that's currently floating off the guy's cradle, or tap all 3 to make 3 green mana. Use one of those green mana in the Bayou to play Abrupt Decay.
Right.
He's going to generate 3 mana here. He's got 3 mana in the pool. He's going to play Green Sun Zenith.
X is 3. Or X is 2, right?
X
I
is
believe.
1. So he had 3
Oh.
mana, and he's going down to 1 mana.
Well,
Means
he
he's
has an
spending 2
extra
mana
one.
total.
He has an
Oh,
extra
you're right,
one
you're right,
from
you're right,
yeah.
you're right.
He has an
Okay,
extra one from the cradle in the pool.
So that's X equals 2.
Days.
And he'll use the mana floating.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
X
think
equals 2.
he might be going for.
It's either Visionary or Skoos, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Goose.
You can grab it. There it is.
Yeah,
It's
there it is.
Scavenging Ooze.
Gotta be scavenging this here. Brandon McBain's like, oh my god, this guy.
That card is very good.
Yeah, very strong
can
right here.
generate mana, it's
And
a great way to get back.
And he certainly can.
And once he Abrupt Decays the Delver of Secrets, he won't be taking anywhere near as much damage.
Yeah, that being said, he will die to Lightning Bolt off the top.
Yes, always.
So, yeah, it's certainly a concern that he could have. Yeah, no floating. Hit for days.
No mana floating. I use the Daze.
Yeah, I really like that line. I like going for Scavenging Ooze there.
Me too. Feels right.
Oh, man. Brandon McBain's got a lot of lands in hand.
Yeah, he's got a Ponder, right?
Bricks, yeah.
I think you should fire off that Ponder.
Ponder,
see
try
what
to
he
find
finds.
Lightning Bolt. Yeah, certainly. And then it's going to be Dr. Delver, and then try to find that Lightning Bolt. So, and then also, if he doesn't find the Lightning Bolt, he will have Stifle up in case his opponent has some shenanigans here.
The problem is the card that he wants to deal with is that Scavenging Ooze, and
Yeah.
Stifle doesn't really stop Scavenging Ooze like it stops the
Not
Death Ray
particularly.
Shaman.
Yeah, not particularly. That being said, it's one of those things where if he does Ponder, does Charles fire off the Scavenging Ooze right away? Because let's say he ponders, right, and then like his opponent, or I guess if he ponders second main. So if he attacks with Delver, goes to 3. The timing of when he uses Scavenging Ooze can potentially be in flux,
Yeah.
right? Where he can have the activation to gain a life on the stack.
I think if you're Charles, you do what he's
Yeah.
doing right here,
Yeah, I
which
like-
is using it before
yeah.
damage.
Very
so
smart.
so that Brendan can't respond to the activation by lightning
Right,
bolting, for
exactly.
example.
Yeah, certainly like that play.
So he's going to go...
That was kind of what I was getting at right there. Yeah.
I figured that's where you were leading to.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be said before he did it, because that
Yeah.
makes it sound smarter.
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't know what that means.
He has 2 stifles.
2 stifles. Oh, he's got
Okay.
2 stifles in
2
hand,
stifles in
not a
hand.
ponder?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
He has the Dried Arbor in hand. He has the Abrupt Decay.
He's got the
Right.
tools to win this, I feel.
Well, I mean, he really has to dance around. He has to dance around some cards. Lightning Bolt possibly being one of them. Man, Abrupt Decay is just so good.
Absolutely. So hold on, before damage, I'm going to use
Decay that, right? So he has 3 green floating.
3 green mana floating. Delver is getting Abrupt Decay.
I
And
love-
Brennan's looking at those stifles and like, that doesn't stop Abrupt Decay either.
It most certainly does not. He's going to go ahead and eat up a little bit. Scavenging Ooze.
I'll activate Scavenging Ooze. Eat your Delver.
Yeah. Life gain's real right now.
Yeah, it's incremental and it's ticking. The thing is Young Pyromancer does not make a lot of tokens if it's out of gas.
Yeah, and young Pyromancer looking kind of awkward. And I mean, it's a 2/1. The 1 toughness is really hurting it. Trinity Nemesis would certainly be a card that he'd like to have right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be able to get through this board.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the Young Pyromancer strategy, is that sometimes you just kind of get mucked under the Elves player's cards.
Charles Wong showing that he understands how to use Coin Raider. Bounce the forest. Go ahead and recast it.
Yeah, replay it. Untap.
Activate, bounce, untap. My guy, Vigilance, not bad.
Not bad.
From
Also,
green deck.
Vigilance and an extra mana.
Oh yeah, not bad.
Gets to deploy the Deathrite Shaman in his hand. He is now Hellbent, and his... Oh, he's not Hellbent. What am I saying? He's still got 2 cards in hand.
But it's nice because now his he can go ahead and attack, and he can start draining away with Deathrite Shaman as well.
Yeah, he can get multiple drains a turn, potentially.
Yeah.
And you know what, Brennan's
Oh,
almost
that's
dead.
a lot of drains. Actually, yeah, he can untap
Why would
elves.
Symbiotes to draw? That's another drain. You can
That's
bounce
another
one of the
drain.
Querying Rangers and recast drain.
That's certainly true. Drain you.
Eat a spell. I would like a spell from your graveyard.
Yeah.
Give me a Lightning Bolt.
Sure thing.
Take 2, down to 7. Come in hot with that Scavenging Ooze, I believe.
That's right.
See what blocks look like. Figure it out from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Brennan's just going to Abyss that Scavenging Ooze. The Abyss
Yeah.
we actually saw in the 93-94
Yeah,
Magic.
absolutely.
But there it was, just doing a good job of pretending to be an Abyss. And also
Certainly.
gaining a ton of life.
I mean, this one costs green 1.
Yeah,
I can gain you life too.
Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah.
And also one-sided.
Yeah, also one-sided.
That one's
That
big.
is quite important, right? All right, so we go ahead and see a.
It's like when I activate 1 Querying Ranger. I really like
Yeah.
when people do this. They flip the cards over that they've activated already
That's
to make
right.
it very clear that, hey, I've already used this one, I can't use it again.
Right.
It gets kind of weird if some are tapped and some are not, and they start getting flipped around because you're like, wait a minute,
Which way is it going? Yeah.
It's usually, you can be
Yeah.
pretty clear, you can communicate
Yeah.
with your opponent.
The one player that was really good at that was Dan Wynn.
Absolutely.
He actually knew he knew exactly how many times he was activating his cards. If he bounces back a card that activated, he could recast it and then activate it again.
Absolutely.
Right. So it was really
Change
nice.
zone for your card.
Yeah, exactly. Very clean way of playing the deck and understanding a general understanding of how to play the deck.
So Brendan's just got a pass here.
He's gonna make a green. Untap an
yeah.
elf. Untap his guy.
I'm
make
actually just going to make
green.
a black, actually.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Black, eat
Thank
a
you very
spell.
much.
And it looks like
Absolutely.
Brendan's going to stifle here.
Yeah.
So do you stifle
Sure.
the mana ability, or do you stifle the drain ability?
He used to have a mana ability. I mean,
Okay.
it's he's still 2 activations away from being able to drain.
Absolutely, that makes
So
sense. We
this
get
will make
another
a,
token.
make a black, untap, make a drain.
Looks like he's just going to pass the turn. I'm surprised he didn't just... I guess there's no creatures left for Scavenging Ooze to eat.
Yeah. This is kind of one of the issues with when you're playing a Delver deck. Once you kind of get behind on cards and your opponent has a pretty massive board, it's really hard to come back.
Yeah, you're a tempo deck. Your cards don't really interact that well in these situations.
Yeah.
You kind of want the Windmill Slam Haymaker cards, and the whole reason these Delver decks are built is to not play those.
Exactly.
You're trying to get underneath before those cards matter.
It'd be really nice if Brandon McBain had access to like -1/-1 effect for his opponent's creatures. And an effect that has to not also hit his creatures at the same time, right? So a card like Golgari Charm would hurt him just about as much as it would hurt his opponent.
yeah, absolutely.
It'd actually be more beneficial for Charles Wong because he would get all his creatures out of the way.
Yeah.
Right. And then like maybe Marsh Casualties, but then it's double black and hard to cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Electrickery is a card I've seen a little bit in these Delver decks.
Oh yeah.
sometimes. I'm a
That would
fan
be a
of
good
card.
one. That'd be a good one. You know, out of Rug Delver, they actually play Rough Tumble quite a bit because Rough Tumble is essentially a Pyroclasm that doesn't creature from flying.
Yeah, so it ignores
right?
Delver. And
exactly.
you can do a lot of cool things with Nimble Mongoose and Tarmogoyf as your threats because you can get their toughness past 2.
That's right. If your Rough Tumble is your 7th card you're casting, it won't kill your Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, just like Lightning Bolting and Tarmogoyf doesn't work very often.
Yeah. You know,
it goes to the graveyard, state-based effects are checked. Nimble Mongoose will be a 3/3 at that point.
one of the things that we're kind of seeing right now is the Grixis Delver deck is really just, he really wants to have Delver's secrets in play. Like, being able to fly over and deal damage is really where you want to be at. A card like Tombstalker.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Brendan's got a Lightning Bolt, and if he had one more swing with a Delver, you know, Charles Wong would be dead right now.
You can certainly give him the business.
There's no more life to gain, no more creatures in the graveyards.
Right. Yeah, that Lightning Bolt's a little difficult to have in hand right now.
Brendan's really got to figure out what he wants to do here.
Face.
So it looks like he's going to try and Lightning Bolt the Symbiote.
Sure.
Okay. I like that.
I mean,
I think
it's one you have to Lightning Bolt,
I think your line of hope to top deck Lightning Bolt isn't very great because Charles Wong is going to be able to gain multiple life off his Deathrite Shaman, get out of range of double bolt in one draw step.
So he goes ahead and activates the bounce of land, untapping his Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite Shaman to tap to make a mana. What's in your graveyard? Oh yeah, Wasteland.
You got a Wasteland, all you got. I'm hungry. He's going to probably activate Wirewood Symbiote here and bounce the...
That's right, bounce an elf, untap my guy, and then with 1 black floating, we're going to go ahead and drain.
Yeah.
Drain you.
And then he doesn't have any mana floating, but he's got a guy that's great. He can tap for 4 mana here.
That's a lot.
5 if he wanted to. Could have done it for 6 even.
It's kind of difficult because I have a feeling that Brandon McBain probably doesn't test a lot versus elves, and the interactions versus elves are relatively intricate and hard to understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of innate synergy between the cards,
right?
But you have to understand how the deck operates.
Right, that's certainly a little bit hard to see. I mean, he's cashing in his stifles right here, but he really wants to be stifling a Creator of Behemoth trigger, right? And then swinging with the Delver.
I think he needs to make some creatures though. He needs to turn the cards in his hand.
Yeah. That being said, it's going to be really hard for him to answer a card like Scavenging Ooze without a card like Terminator or something
Absolutely.
like that. Yeah.
Dismember. It's getting very close to being out of range of Dismember.
It will be out of range, certainly. I mean, he's got... I've seen actually some of these Grixis Delver decks play Murderous Cut, a card like that.
I've seen Snuff Out before. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, man. That's a 0.
Yeah, that's a 0.
That's a freeze.
Dismember for 0 mana.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. All right.
It doesn't kill Gurmag Angler, though, so it's pretty bad right now.
Sad face.
Yeah.
Kill Scavenging Ooze, though. Kind of like that one.
Yeah. There was a time where it was pretty good, so not anymore, though.
Yeah, you could. You could play. You could build Stormcount. Play for 0.
Yeah, get him.
Yeah. Top deck.
This is exactly what Brendan wants to do. I did not even see what he drew for the turn. Oh, it looks like it was a Gurmag Angler. I see him grabbing cards out of his graveyard.
Yeah.
And so you want to get as many spells as possible here, and he's going to be able to eat all of the spells in his graveyard. No instants or sorceries left for Deathrite Shaman to eat either.
Right.
Jam that Gurmag Angler.
Certainly. You know, it's kind of funny because while he's delving cards right here for his Gurmag Angler, you certainly believe he would rather be delving cards for a card like Treasure Cruise or Big Time, right?
I mean, that's the dream.
Right, for sure.
Makes a token right now, so you're basically the same as Gurmag Angler with the card advantage, right?
Yeah, that's right. I suppose. Right, but...
Once in Nature's the draw.
Wow. And he's got a lot of bounce effects here.
Yeah, he does. Not anywhere with
bounce
symbiotes,
lands,
though.
yeah, bouncing lands, though, certainly not as good. But that being said, he has the Abyss in play.
Yeah, I think it's just Abyss again. Yeah. So here it comes.
Here it comes.
Chugga.
Yeah, you know, and maybe at this point, Brandon McBain has to put together a big block and try to stop the Scavenging Ooze from killing him.
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen Elves fight? Elves attack?
Yeah.
It's scary, dude. Mm-hmm. It's scary. You know, when I was playing versus Dan a lot, sometimes you'd have these hands where you'd have like triple Nettle Sentinel, and you're just like, are you serious right now?
You're just going to go to combat and then play
he just starts attacking with these Isamarus, and I'm like, how do I beat that?
Block with 2 Young Pyromancer tokens.
I
never
guess.
Feels good.
Yeah.
So we got some big stacks going on for the block here. It looks like he's going to go with a Gurmag Angler and all of the tokens.
Yeah, 5-1. Going to go ahead and knock out the Gurmag Angler, knock out a token.
I like blocking with extra. If Charles Wong hadn't Abrupt Decay there, he could have Abrupt Decay the Young Pyromancer and then eat the Young Pyromancer.
Oh, that would have been filth. Absolutely.
There's no cost in stacking the other token on top.
Exactly.
In case that happens.
Might as well do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure Charles was thinking about, like, man, if I can get a creature in the bin, it'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Can I eat creatures that I've already eaten? No?
All right.
Deathrite Shaman.
Here's
going to
Deathrite Shaman, showing us why he's a little overpowered. Okay, never mind.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Charles Wong just has the win if he just goes to combat.
Yeah.
But
Charles Wong gonna give him a chance.
instead,
Top
he's going
deck.
to... Yeah, I mean, hey, that's what this deck does. It's very good at doing that.
Yeah, here
A
we
lot
go.
of things he can draw here.
Float an extra one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he had a lot of outs. Yep.
And Brendan probably sees him writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Let's see if he makes him fetch.
Gonna be a hoof time. It's gonna be hoof time.
Yeah.
I really hope he just gets Progenitus.
Yeah. I'll get you
Hit
next
some
turn.
ones. Yeah, I'll get you next turn. How's that sound?
What if he just gets Wirewood Symbiote? That's just
That would
BM,
actually
right?
work. That would actually work. He would drain, bounce, drain, and it would be game. You're good at BM, man. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually a pretty savage line.
That'd be a BM line.
Yeah, that would be a giant BM line.
Yeah. All right.
Drain, bounce, drain.
Welcome back to the booth, guys. So that was that round 6?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was round 6.
That was a win and in.
Yeah. So we got one more round of Legacy to go before it cuts top 8. I'm hyped. You're hyped.
Yeah. Oh man, it's
The
gonna be
clock
great.
is 10 minutes hype. We
Yeah.
got 10 minutes left in the round, guys. We're going to try and find you another backup match. We might end up playing some 93, 94 Magic instead of Legacy if we can't find a Legacy match. So if you like watching that, stay tuned. We'll be back as soon as we can. All right, guys, stay tuned.